We're good? Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the regular Mayor and Council meeting for August 9th, 2021. Please join us in a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mary, do you want to try the housekeeping announcement that Jeff normally makes, or do you want me to try and paraphrase it?
Could you?
Yeah,
Because I'm blank at the moment.
I don't mind at all. So our town administrator's on a vacation this week, so we have our deputy town administrator joining us up here on the dais this evening. Just for everybody that is in attendance, we do have a bathroom out here to the left. We have hand sanitizer throughout the building. If you need to wash your hands, we are in a pandemic, so please do so. If you need hand sanitizer, please help yourself with that. With that being said, we'll move on to agenda item number 1, which is the approval of the regular session Mayor and Council minutes from July 26, 2021.
Actually, I had asked Kelsey to just check into, I had a concern from a resident who spoke.
I did listen to it, and Ms. Belong says in the recording, can we add in the bulletin to not have people put their grass clippings when they're cutting into the ditch, and because it clogs up the drain, she said she specifically sees it on her street with the people that clip and cut into their drain. So yes, it was.
Okay.
Yep.
Then with nothing further, I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, so I have a motion to approve the regular session of minutes for the Mayor and Council of July 26, 2021 by Councilmember Orris. I need a second.
Second that motion.
And I have a second by Council Member Nichols. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And let the record reflect that the regular session minutes for July 26, 2021 passed unanimously with all council members present with the exception of Councilmember Troy Purnell. Agenda item number 2 are the motions for approval. We are going to do number 2B first, which is motion 2021-18. A motion approving a request for the use of Dr. William Henry Park on Saturday, September 4th, 2021, from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. This is for the use of the basketball courts in the pavilion, for school supply giveaway and movie, and the use of park facilities after hours. Mary, are you running point on this one?
I had thought that there was going to be a representative of the Burdell family present, but I'm assuming she is not able to make it, so I certainly can. We were contacted regarding the Burdell Family Foundation doing a movie night and school supply giveaway on Saturday, September 4th in William Henry Park. You may recall the Parks Commission did movie nights in the park several years ago. It's a perfect location for it. You've got the basketball courts and bleachers. I did also suggest just that she, I lost my train of thought, I'm sorry. She did submit all of her paperwork regarding being a nonprofit and their incorporation information. So unless you have any other specific questions that I can try to help you with.
Do we have any questions for our Deputy Town Administrator from the Council?
Yeah, Mary, I can't recall, when was the painting anticipated?
Not until after that date.
Okay.
So we do need a motion by the Council to pass this motion.
Motion to approve the event at Henry Park.
So I have a motion by Councilmember Nur for motion 2021-18.
Second.
And I have a second by Councilmember Nichols. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And let motion 2021-18 reflect passing 4-0. And up next is agenda item number 2A, motion 2021-17, a motion approving the application for the Community Parks and Playground Program for the lighting of Dr. William Henry Park basketball courts in the amount of $111,650 with matching funds of $10,350 for a total project cost of $122,000 for fiscal year 2023. And I believe Deputy Town Administrator Mary Boland is running point on this also.
This is a project we've actually discussed a couple of times in recent meetings. The $10,000 match is a combination of possibly cash and electric department time and resources. So the vast majority of it will be from the Community Parks and Playgrounds program.
And since I wasn't here for our last meeting, are we adding any language to the grant application about the basketball courts being painted and the improvements that we're making to those? Do you think that would help strengthen our application?
I don't think that I did add anything with that. I certainly can add a line regarding that. I do address the fact that program open space and community parks and playgrounds monies were used to completely renovate the courts. So this would be obviously complementary to that. But I can certainly add something about the painting.
I think just tucking a nice little line in there about the improvements we're making could help strengthen it a little bit.
Yeah.
All right,
Maybe
sure, it
even-
would.
I think it will too, and maybe even that they're continuing trying to update, what do you say, the breakaway court?
The back boards and
Yeah.
just that they are a priority, I think
Yeah.
helps
That would
increase
show
that grant.
partnership
That
and
might be the thing to help get that over.
in additional buy-in by the community.
I agree.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is just for everybody that's paying attention, you will notice that 10,000, and if I'm speaking out of place, please let me know, that $10,350 is something that you'll see in the FY23 budget. And this year, if you're looking at the FY22 budget, it covers our grant application from last year.
Correct. This is just as a reminder, this is the program that we apply for in late summer, but we do not actually receive notification of award until the following late summer.
It's a little confusing.
Yes,
but-
and it's one of the longest grant processes.
So if there are no more questions, I'd like to move to approve motion 2020-2117.
I have a motion by Councilmember Burrell.
Second.
I have a second by, I believe, Councilmember Orris. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And let motion 2021-17 reflect passing 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Agenda item number 3 is the approval of appointments for boards and commission members, and I'll be running point on this. There is a letter an open letter that was sent to the council in this packet. I'll read it for everybody that's watching at home.
Before you read it,
Yes.
could I ask, Mr. Long, can you hear us better than last time?
Yeah, thank you.
That's a good question.
Thank you.
And if at any point you think that you can't hear anybody that's in attendance, just please let us know. We're trying to do a better job of using our microphone. So to the council, over the past several months, the mayor's office has worked with D3 and Mary Boland, who handles our website here for Town Hall, to create an online application portal for boards, commissions, and committees. By opening the application process up online, residents throughout the town of Berlin who are interested in serving their community have an easy way to apply for a position. Once the completed application is received, my assistant in the mayor's office, Joanne Unger, works diligently to schedule interviews with the applicant, which includes the mayor, the town administrator, the mayor's assistant, and the chair of the board, commission, or committee. Also includes the staff liaison for the board, commission, or committee. So I'm honored to make the nominations of the following individuals. We can take them separate, or can they all be done as one?
Should do it separately.
Okay, each individual person or each board?
You should do each person.
Okay, so up first, for the Board of Zoning Appeals, this is for a 3-year term. I wish to nominate Joe Moore. He's a reappointment, and he also currently serves as the chairman. Just to add a little bit of context, in these interviews, each applicant's asked the same questions about what has led them to want to serve on the board or commission, what experience they bring to the table. They're vetted by the panel, and then once we've gone through all those interviews, I asked the panel, who do we think is a good fit? And from there, we come up with a list of names that you have before you. So as I stated, I would like to nominate Joe Moore for a reappointment. for the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Do we just say approve?
Well, it would take is it a vote? I would say a formal vote, right? So we do need a vote for Joe Moore.
So I make a motion that we approve your recommendation for Joe Moore.
Okay,
On
thank
the
you.
Board of Zoning Appeals.
I have a motion by Councilmember Orris approving Board of Zoning Appeals member Joe Moore.
Second.
I have a second by Councilmember Nur. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, let the record reflect that Joe Moore's appointment to the Board of Zoning Appeals passes 4-0. I would also like to nominate Woody Bunting for a reappointment, and he also currently serves as the Vice Chairman of the Board of Zoning Appeals. This is for a 3-year term as well.
Move to approve your recommendation of Woody Bunting.
I have a motion to approve by Councilmember Burrell,
Second.
and a second by Councilmember Orris. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And let the record reflect that Mr. Woody Bunting has been approved for the Board of Zoning Appeals 4-0. I'd also like to recommend the reappointment of Mr. Robert Palladino. He also serves on the Board of Zoning Appeals currently for a 3-year term.
Motion to approve Robert Palladino.
I have a motion by Councilmember Nur to approve Robert Palladino's reappointment to the Board of Zoning Appeals for a 3-year term.
Second.
I have a second by Councilmember Nichols. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Let the record reflect that Mr. Robert Palladino's reappointment to the Board of Zoning Appeals passes 4-0. I would also like to reappoint Mr. Doug Parks to the Board of Zoning Appeals for a 3-year term.
Motion to,
Can I?
go ahead.
No.
Go ahead.
Motion to approve Doug Parks for the reappointment.
Thank you. I have a motion to approve Mr. Doug Parks' reappointment to the Board of Zoning Appeals by Councilwoman Nichols,
I'll second.
and a second by Councilmember Orris. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? A lot. So Mr. Doug Parks' reappointment for Board of Zoning Appeals passes 4-0 for a 3-year term. Let's move on to the three appointments for the Historic District Commission. This is also for a 3-year term. I would like to reappoint Mary Moore to the Historic District Commission.
I'll make a motion that we approve your recommendation of Mary Moore to the Historic District Commission.
I have a motion to approve Mary Moore to the Historic District Commission for a 3-year term by Councilmember Orris.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Nur. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Let the record reflect that Ms. Mary Moore's reappointment to the Historic District Commission passes 4-0. I'd also like to recommend the reappointment of Mr. Nornie Bunting to reappointment for the Historic District Commission for a 3-year term.
Motion to approve Nornie Bunting.
I have a motion to approve Mr. Nornie Bunting as a reappointment for the Historic District Commission by Councilmember Nur.
Second.
I have a second by Councilmember Nichols. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Let the record reflect that Mr. Nornie Bunting's reappointment to the Historic District Commission for a 3-year term passed 4-0. And we have a new appointment. Mr. John Holloway, he's a new appointment as an alternate for the Historic District Commission for a 3-year term.
Motion to approve Mr. Holloway, John Holloway for Historic District Commission.
And I have a motion by Councilmember Orris to approve Mr. John Holloway as a new appointment as an alternate for the Historic District Commission for a 3-year term. I need a second.
Second.
And I have a second by Councilmember Nichols. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And let the record reflect that Mr. John Holloway's new appointment as an alternate for the Historic District Commission for a 3-year term passes 4-0. And I have one reappointment for the Planning Commission. This is for a 5-year term, Mr. Newt Chandler, and this is a reappointment.
Motion to approve Newt Chandler.
And I have a motion to approve the reappointment of Mr. Newt Chandler by Councilmember Nur. Need a second?
Second.
I have a second by Councilmember Burrell. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed? Let the record reflect that Mr. Newt Chandler's reappointment to the Planning Commission for a 5-year term passes 5-0. Thank you, and this is my shameless plug to everybody that's in attendance and everybody watching. We do have boards and commissions that are up and taking applications. We will have to adjust, if you see the Board of Zoning Appeals vacancies, the Historic District Commission vacancies, or the Planning Commission vacancies, those are no longer there. We will be working with D3 to remove those. But if you see something else that is interesting to you, please apply. And it's open to anybody that lives in the town of Berlin.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
just for clarity, the reappointments or assignments that we approved tonight are not the only people sitting on those commissions and boards.
Correct.
Just for those folks who are watching, this is not just a 3-people show as far as the historic district and those others, just for clarity.
Yeah, that's correct. And I actually think that sitting here looking at this, I may have just misspoken. We are looking for an alternate for the Board of Zoning Appeals. So if anybody is interested, please apply. But as Council Member Nichols said, these are boards and commissions that have multiple members on them. For a full list of those, you can go to, I think it's government, boards and commissions on our website, and then it should give you a list of the full roster of everybody that's on there. We will make sure that that's accurate. Yes, also a description of each board or commission. Some of these, now, I know that I've talked to a lot of people because this went live online and it had a lot of different positions, and we have probably over 30 applicants for different spots. But we really want to do a good job of opening it up to anybody that's interested and trying to vet all of those applicants to make the best nominations. So it does take a little bit of time. There is no board or commission that is more important than one another. However, we do have kind of a decision tree that's broken out, or an organizational chart that's broken out between regulatory and advisory boards and commissions. So the nominations that you approved this evening, many of those are regulatory in format. So they are codified in our town code and charter. So therefore, we need those up and running a little bit more quickly. But this is hopefully going to be a more frequent
So,
process.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question in reference to Shanika's question. So this is pretty much the makeup of the Board of Zoning Appeals Commission. I mean, this is the majority of the members, but maybe one more, I don't know. But do they ever attempt to stagger these reappointments?
We do, however, these are all appointments. Everybody you see here are appointments that were up within this calendar year.
Yeah.
So I believe one of those was actually your spot,
Right.
since you were elected. So some of those are staggered, where a good spot where you can go take a look is the Housing Board of Review. We have nobody on that committee right now. And it actually says that when it was founded, if you go take a look at the code and charter online, it says that they are staggered. But what we're going to have is a problem, because we're going to reappoint people, at which time we're probably going to have to stagger that group to bring them on board. So we don't have anybody that's applied for it. We're going to try and funnel some of the people that applied with very interesting backgrounds that might be suitable into those positions. But I think you and I have spoke also.
Yes.
We need more applicants.
Most definitely.
If somebody's interested in your district, please encourage them to apply.
I also wonder, because originally, I think we had deadlines, didn't we, originally?
Yeah, originally, what was done was we would post them on social media and say, hey, look, we'll give consideration by this date,
Right.
trying to get some of these moving forward. But we got a lot of applicants. They were just spread out. And we do want to try and fill as many of those boards or commissions as possible.
So I did have a resident reach out. They were interested in the Ethics Commission.
Yes.
Is that, it sounds like you have a lot to go through. Is that upcoming on your schedule?
Yeah, actually, I had the internal goal of trying to have them on this list for appointment.
Okay.
We had 3 applicants. We have 3 positions that need to be filled. So chances are, as long as all of those interviews go well, you'll probably see all 3 of them here for nomination. But I did have those scheduled for while I was out. Thank you to all of you for stepping up while I was out of the office and not here at the council meeting. But I did have to push those interviews, so we will be doing those, but.
Right, I was just asking.
No, you're just fine, you're just fine. That's a good question. And I know some people in attendance here this evening have applied, and we are receiving your applications. We encourage everybody to apply, and thank you for your interest and willingness to serve, but it does take a little bit of time. All right, if there aren't any more questions, let's move on to a discussion of the ARPA planning timeline. So in-house, just to kind of summarize, the ARPA money is a COVID relief package coming down from the federal government. We have received, correct Natalie, payment number 1 of the ARPA money, which is 50% of what we're supposed to receive or as slated to receive. With that being said, Natalie's office, the town administrator, myself, we've all been working diligently to try and stay up on everything that's coming through. with where we can spend the money, how we can spend the money, the best way to account for the spending of that money. With that being said, kind of step aside, what we're doing internally, just so that everybody on the council and everybody watching at home is aware, we're working with department heads, the finance department, the town administrator, and the mayor's office to help gather as much information as we can about each specific department and the impacts of COVID-19 on each department, so that we can help present the best plan possible for maybe trying to tailor some of that spending of that money. Just so that everybody's aware of the deadlines that we're up against, December 2024 is when the money has to be allocated, where we have to say this is what we're going to spend it on. And December of 2026 is when it has to actually be spent by. So we do have some time. So the goal is to have that information at the department level gathered and vetted for the council and the public's review by November or December of this year. At which time we do have to host a public listening session by the guidelines of the ARPA money. And we do want to hear from every resident about how they think that money should be spent. So everybody at home and in attendance, start creating a list. We want to hear what you have to say. We would like to have that meeting tentatively sometime in January of 2022. And then following that meeting, what we would like to do is have a work session with the council to review the planning documents, the public input, and develop a formal plan for the allocation of that money so that it's ready to go by the time we're starting to look at the budget process for FY23. With that being said, I would also like to ask, we're asking the public to take a look. I'd also like to ask the council to take a look at your respective districts. Jot down anything that you think that has been impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, anything that you think, if it's not related to COVID and you're out riding around and you're like, man, we need to see this in the next budget process, create a list and make sure we get that. But we are trying to have a solid plan together by March or April of 2022.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So the guidelines that are in place as to how the funds should be utilized, do we have those? Can we post those to this town site for public to view, or is that something that we can do?
We
Because I
have,
know, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump. Because I know several people have reached out and said, well, how are you gonna, how can we,
Yeah.
you know
what
what I
we
mean?
could, what we could probably do is there's guidance from MML. So the Maryland Municipal League has guidance on what the money can be spent on, so that everybody can start to kind of get the wheels turning. What we can do is craft a social media post and get that out on our social media channels about these are the guidelines, this is the resources. That way we're not really creating it, it's already a vetted
Great.
source.
Right.
And then that information is out there and it's shareable for everybody. But that's a great point.
So other than just social media, would we be able to take that same information and have it on our town website?
I'm going to defer to Mary on that one.
Sure, I don't see any reason why not.
I mean, I asked that because I know
Fine.
many of us are social media moguls, or I'm not even using the right word, but social media users. We're good at it. I'll just be simple. But a lot still are not social media savvy, and they like to go back to the original way of doing things. Yeah, so I mean, if we could have something like that. I mean, I don't say that not that I don't want to answer the questions, but I know, just like me, many will come up with this question at 2:30 in the morning and be like, oh my God, I think we could use that for it. And then they could go right there and check it out.
And anything that people can think of, we want to hear it. So that's
If I
why
could
we're,
just piggyback off of Councilmember Nichols, even if like we have the COVID button now, if we just have the ARPA, and then when we get the, like a widget, if you will, and then so when we get this timeline that I would assume is going to be typed up, we can at least put that up there.
what do you mean by the timeline?
Like the November, December review.
Oh, yeah.
Public
Yeah, we can-
listening session, you know, boom, 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 boom.
Okay, we can have that out.
Just to,
I like that, have it all, like, get
like
the same
already
little.
one-stop shop, so to
Mr. Mayor, I'm
speak.
assuming that if we have a emergency need, that we can spend that money incrementally if need be.
Yes, but I mean, when you say the word emergency.
Let's say the lift station goes kaput.
That was built
not-
into existence.
Not really, because the idea of this money, and Natalie, correct me if I'm wrong, is really geared to be COVID centered. So projects that have been impacted by COVID-19. Now, that's a very broad definition,
Yeah.
and the infrastructure is in that, but that's part of the reason why, and I told Natalie that I would not use the word, I'm going to break the rule already.
You just did.
That the plans that we're working to determine internally and the guides that we're trying to create are going to be good for budgeting processes plus shedding light on the impacts that the COVID-19 pandemic has had. So one thing that comes like off the top of my head is we do have some losses that were incurred possibly by our enterprise funds. And those are directly attributable to the COVID-19 pandemic. So those are some things, some examples as to the lineage that we can draw for recouping some of that money. So an emergency, it depends on what it is. Like if there was a huge impact again by the pandemic, we could possibly use some of that money to help address that. But a lift station, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I just use that as an
no, I mean, it's a good question, it really is, but that's why we have to have the plans in place. It'll be helpful because they're solidifying all of the guidelines. That's also why I think we should yield to another spot's or another entity's information that they're gathering, because it does change pretty quickly. That way they already have resources devoted to keeping that up to date, and let them do so. But yeah, it's a tricky thing, and it's what, almost $4.8 million. So it's not anything to just spend on a whim. So we do need to have some good planning documents in place.
Ivy had a hand raised.
Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
I think it's also a good idea to check with other municipalities and other council members and mayors to find out what some of the other are doing with it, because when you're in when you gather together, you may have an idea that someone else might not have, and they might have an idea that you have, and sometimes it's really good to work on partnerships that way.
That's a very good point, and I would venture to say that since there is a longer horizon on this, we're literally talking December of 2024, December of 2026. The conferences that we've all attended for MML, I'm sure they're going to have more information on that, and in this budget process, it is funded for everybody to be able to go. So if we can you figure March is not that far away from when the summer conference is, so if we have any last minute questions, we can ask those. And you figure the spring of 2022 is an ambitious timeline when you're looking at this, but it does have some room for fluctuation.
I think what Ivy said is a very good idea, not only to gauge on how they're spending, but how COVID has impacted them. I think the more information we have, the better we'll be.
I'll reach out to MML and see what resources they have from other municipalities. They might have even surveyed some. I know there are a couple other groups that I follow that do survey. Oh, go ahead, Natalie.
So right now, what's in place is a planning stage. By the end of August, each municipality who have received ARPA monies will upload a report to a specific website. It's a portal that's been created for each municipality. And what I see that's going to be gathering information, what's in the planning stage. So sooner or later, you will see probably a summary either posted by MML or GFOA on the website available for everybody to review what municipalities are planning in the planning stage, basically the summary of what they're expected to see. Now, of course, by the end of August, so many of them, I posted a question, what if we don't have anything? Definitely, at the moment, you can just basically put your brainstorming out there. So they're already doing kind of proactive question being asked right now, can we contact them? So I see the summary being populated already for us and be available. But for any resident or citizen, you can just simply go on the website, type ARPA usage, and there are three sources. There is MML summary of usage of monies, GFOA, and there is actually Fed website where they post all the questions and answers. And there is a bullet point of what the monies could be spent by municipality in detail. So it's very simple to navigate. Calling municipalities and asking what they want to do, they're going to tell you it's a planning stage, but what I expect to be populated for us already will be available probably like by the end of the year.
And MML is pretty good about
Right.
soliciting surveys. I don't know about the GFOA, that's more your wheelhouse. But at least on that side of things, they're pretty good about soliciting the surveys and getting us that information. So I'll make sure that it's on Tom Reynolds' radar that we are looking for that information. I'm sure he's already well ahead of that, but see what we can get out of it.
Natalie, for clarity, were you gonna say something, Jack?
I was just gonna ask if you can send that public link to us individually, and if maybe we can get that on the website.
Yes, please. I was gonna,
You good?
We were just on the same thought process.
Okay. So if there aren't any more questions or comments, okay, we have one question from the audience. Just come right on up and name and property address, we know each other. No, right up here if you don't mind.
Oh, this is
There you would be commanding
way too
Facebook.
much. This is way too much for my question. Sarah Hamberry, 100 Washington Street. So, like, on the lowest level of questions, if the government from the federal and the state level is giving municipalities such as ours a chunk of money that says this is for relief from what you have been through, use this relief money to relieve your town, why not you people, but MML, Maryland leaders? I understand not wasting $4 million, but why is relief money not going to relieve anybody until 2024?
Well, that's the deadline for which,
Well, I get it's a deadline, but does anybody have a hypothetical saying,
well, here for us in the town of Berlin, like I
Right.
mentioned a couple minutes ago, we're going
Right.
to try and aim for at least trying to allocate some of that relief money
Yeah.
by the spring of next year. That's an ambitious goal,
yeah,
but we do want to try and help out the things that have been impacted. Now, when you look at that, the individual level relief has come out from the federal government,
Yes.
right? So now this is more of the state or the municipal and county-based relief. It's a lost cause trying to do glasses and a mask.
right.
But, so we're trying to figure out the best way to use that so that we can pass along the most relief to each resident. That's
In
the
2 to 3
goal.
years.
Well, I mean, in the short term, we're looking at hopefully before 2024.
Yeah, and I understand relief to the residents, but also just relief for the town. I mean, going back to like Jay's idea of a lift station or a pump station or a solar field or a widget for what's his face to dig a hole, you know what I mean? This is relief that we need, that somebody's saying, here's COVID relief funds. I'm speaking in abstract terms, but to me, relief needs to come
Senator?
Yes, but that's me being, you know, a wife and a business owner, so I get to make decisions like that.
And I mean, we understand
Right.
that the pandemic has been hard on everybody, whether
Right.
it's a business, whether it's an individual, whether it's a family. We understand that impact.
Okay.
And it's a good thing to hear from people that have experiences like that.
Well, I'm just saying, if our town needs relief, we have those funds to relieve it. I'm sure she's got all sorts of guidelines she has to follow.
There are a lot of guidelines.
Thank
that we
you
have
for
to
your
follow.
time.
Thank you.
One last statement from me, but and then I'm not saying anymore for the moment. Can we, when we're posting, and I know that we'd already discussed, and a high five to D3 on making this town multilingual. So when these,
That was a huge, so everybody that's watching, that is a huge thing that Council Member Nichols and I started talking about very early on. So our website is capable of being translated into many different languages thanks to Google Translate. One of those being Spanish, which is, I'm a little unhappy about where it's positioned, especially on the mobile. You do have to kind of scroll down, it is alphabetical. But it is nice to have that service. So thank you to Councilmember Nichols for.
no, I mean, kudos to the town for getting there, no joke. But when these forms come out, I just want to make sure that they too were able to be because I know that was question/comment.
Yeah, I think we talked about the capability of translating some Word documents. I don't know how to do that exactly, but we could probably figure that out. And we need a Google Translate for Word, I'm sure they've got it. So we'll try to see if, the nice part about any text that's uploaded is that it does get translated automatically. So if
Good,
we,
so if these, if the
Yeah, if we put
MML
that out.
version is out there or uploaded,
We can't-
possibly,
we can't translate like MML site. So if you go to MML or you go to
but
the
if it's uploaded to our
GFOA,
website,
well, it's just going to be a link that points
that
them to
will point
them.
you to, gotcha.
But if, like, say we do any, like the timeline, like that Jack was talking about, that could be translated because that's text that's uploaded into the website. And then it's capable of translating.
Got it.
But we can figure out how to do some more of our like postings and things
Yeah.
like that to make them bilingual. Any other questions related to ARPA planning or timeline? All right, let's move on to agenda item number 5, which is the community center committee. Let's see here. So we are on agenda item number 5, a discussion and review of the goals and objectives of the Community Center Planning Committee. So following the council's motion to create a Community Center Planning Committee, I asked the council to send over any thoughts, goals, objectives, the structure, or possible structure of this committee. So we could try to have a document that's kind of like a guiding purpose when we start to ask people to apply and when we have our first meeting for this committee to help direct them. So I would ask the council, I'll read it so that everybody can hear it, but if there's anything that's incorrect or that you would like changed before we formalize this document, please let me know. So the goals and objectives are to solicit input from community members, including youth, through interactions, including but not limited to interviews, focus groups, surveys, and town hall style meetings to determine the following: the location of a community center, the potential services, programs, and amenities that may be offered at the community center, the availability of funding for the community center through grants, donations, and nonprofit organizations. Any changes for that section or recommendations? Okay, so the structure of the committee. A staff liaison, Economic and Community Development Director Ivy Wells has agreed to serve as the staff liaison for this committee. Voting members will be 5 members of the public who are residents of the town of Berlin. This committee is an advisory committee that acts at the direction of the mayor and council. Motion shall be structured as a recommendation for or against a particular issue, and each recommendation shall be sent to the mayor and council for their review and/or action. The committee shall provide quarterly reports or progress reports during a regular session of the mayor and council. Any changes to the structure of the committee?
What's the duration of the existence of this committee?
I left that kind of open-ended because I didn't know, is there a feeling as to how closed-ended this committee should be? I think that when we're looking at the scope, so the interviews, the focus groups, the surveys, and then hopefully the determination of some grants or donations or nonprofits that can help support this endeavor, what do you think is an applicable timeline for that?
So we're talking about an overall committee timeline or timeline that these things should be met?
Well, it would be, basically, we would appoint the committee to serve for whatever the period term is.
Okay.
And then once their term is expired, it would in essence end that committee. And therefore, if there was a purpose for them to stay in progress, we would have to reappoint them. So I think it's a valid point. They need to have a year or a term limit.
They need to have a term limit with an expectation of when the job is going to be done. You just, I think, being this purposeful, you just can't leave that open-ended for it to go on forever. But when appointed, we need to be able to say to those folks or whoever the committee is, this is what the expectation of your job is.
Do you think a 12-month duration is applicable? Or should we do an 18-month?
I think it needs to go longer, yeah, 18 months.
I want them to feel ambitious,
Right.
but I don't want them to feel confined.
Yeah.
So do you think 18 months?
18 months
That would
would
be
be plenty
appropriate.
of time.
Ivy, do you have a thought on that? I mean, did you have a thought on an initial time limit? You know what I'm saying, a group length?
I think what the mayor said, 18 months. If we don't know what we want in 18 months, then that's a problem to begin with.
Yeah, plus there are funding sources that we should be positioning ourselves for. And I would hope
Apparently,
that-
Yes.
yeah.
The community center has been on the minds of much of the community for quite a number of years. So I'm hopeful that this committee can get to the bottom of what we need, what we want, and how do we get there.
Yeah.
Now, is it suitable to say to the committee that I think in talking with some staff, that interviews, focus groups, surveys, town hall style meetings, I think could be handled by the group, but some of that may have to be outsourced. So what I'm going to tell the committee is that if they feel that some of that needs to be outsourced, that they need to come to us. Don't drag your feet on it, come with a proposal and we can start to review those things.
I also think that's why it's important for all of this with the quarterly progress reports. That's one way we can kind of, I don't want to say micromanage, but we can monitor, and they can come to us if they run into those things.
Yeah, we want to give them the
So
tools
we
to
want
succeed.
right, exactly.
But the other recommendation that I'd like to make, because I've only recently seen this, is that each committee member is from each district.
Yeah,
Kudos.
and that's something that we're trying to do across all boards and commissions. We actually ask everybody for their address and we run that through our voting database to see where everybody's positioned. So ideally, we do want to spread those boards and commissions out across the respective districts. I would ask that, like Ivy said, we could do the same thing for this, but it is dependent upon the applications that we receive.
Is there a size limit to this committee?
5 people, so.
5 total?
Yes, but now it will be a public committee, just like the mayor and council meetings, just like any other
So they
board or
can
commission.
attend.
People can attend, yeah.
For sure.
So they can have guest speakers, they can do anything that they need to be able to accomplish their objective. So, okay, we don't need a formal vote on this, but do we, Castle?
It won't hurt.
Okay, all right. So then, with the addition of an 18-month term, can we get a motion to approve the Community Center Planning Committee's goals and objectives and structure?
Move to approve.
So I have a motion to approve by Councilmember Burrell.
Second.
I have a second by Councilmember Nichols. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And let the record reflect that the Community Center Planning Committee's goals and objectives, structure, and term have passed 4-0. All right. So let's see.
I feel like we should clap.
What's
I
that?
feel like we should clap. I'm very excited about this.
All right, so agenda item number 6 is the town administrator's report, and I'll yield to the deputy town administrator for any messages.
I don't have anything.
Okay, and then up next are department reports. So Lieutenant Fisher, you're up first.
I have nothing.
Okay, Economic and Community Development Director Ivy Wells.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
I hope everybody had a good weekend. I sure did. This weekend, we have our annual summer sidewalk sale. It starts on Friday, so it runs all day Friday, Saturday, and Sunday with the farmer's market. Just to let everyone know that there will be some extra tables and racks on the sidewalk. The roads will not be closed for this, as they haven't been the last several years. The businesses do know that they need to make sure that anything that they put on the sidewalk still allows for ADA accessibility for wheelchairs. And with that said, I'd also like to make mention of sometimes our trash cans downtown. We've been extremely busy, that the trash cans sometimes get moved and it's hard for people to get access on the sidewalk with some of the trash cans. So make a public plea for anyone, business owners especially, to make sure that if they see a trash can that was moved outside of their business, that they're not that heavy, they just kind of push it over and make sure that it goes back in where it's supposed to be. I think I'm going to work with Jimmy on actually putting a marker down on the sidewalk where the trash can should be. I think that would be helpful also. Allison and I are working on the Berlin Christmas Parade, believe it or not. The theme is our golden anniversary, 50th Christmas Parade, and everyone's really excited about the Christmas Parade this year. So yes, it is August, and I am talking about the Christmas Parade. That's all I have tonight.
It's almost like a re-50th, isn't it? I think that was,
No, because here's how I view it.
go ahead, give it to us, Ivy.
So it's the 50th Christmas Parade.
You're right.
I'm not talking about it, it's not the 50th year, it's the 50th Christmas Parade. So
I like
words
this
and
spin.
language are everything.
I like this spin.
Right, if we can have the 2020 Summer Games in 2021.
There you go.
Oh, yeah,
Bingo.
see? So any questions for our Economic and Community Development Director, Ivy Wells?
Question,
Yes, sir.
how do we, with these events, how do we estimate the number of people that come to town?
That's a very interesting question, and we've actually, we've had training on how to access how many people usually fit in a certain square footage. So it's a mathematical equation. I don't remember it right now, I usually have to go back and look at it, where if you look at a crowd and you can see square footage, you can kind of pick out how many people are there. But I do know that it was reported that at one point on the lawn of the museum on Saturday, at one point there was about 1,000 people on that lawn.
Wow.
And the businesses had an extraordinary day on Saturday, and they're very grateful for the museum and all the planning that they did for Saturday's event, that we're all getting together and we're going to make donation to the museum on behalf of the businesses. So it'll be a big press moment for everybody.
Very cool.
Does that answer your question?
Downtown was packed,
Yeah, it was.
It was, yeah, rainy,
even in the rain.
yeah.
Up next is
So, I'm
our,
sorry, hold on, I'm sorry, Ray.
Sorry.
I just a quick question, was it the same amount of folks in the parade, is it the same folks that were scheduled for 2020 that are now in this year's, or did we lose folks?
But what we do is we reach out, the people who signed up for last year, we reached out to them first and let them know that it was in fact happening this year, and they would get, excuse my language, first dibs on a spot in the parade. And I think most of them are returning. And we always have a waiting list. We always try to let people come in who haven't been in the parade before, but we do have the people who have been in the parade before do.
Okay, thank you.
They have first precedent.
all right, up next is our Electric Utility Director, Tim Lawrence.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
I have a few things to report on. The SHA project on Route 376. I'm just going to talk about the electric side. My glasses are falling off. As far as the electric, the entire utility line has been moved, and we have removed all the old utility poles that we could remove that still didn't have anything attached to them. We have one left pole. We have one pole left to move. As soon as State Highway gets off of that and relocates to the new pole. And then we also had meter reading demands, and then on Jefferson Street, we installed a new underground service to a location. And then on Walnut Hill, we had to relocate a underground service to a new home that's being built. Also, the downtown accent lighting, which was approved in the budget, we received the first portion of that equipment to do the 4 trees across from Stevenson Church. So that's going to be the first area that we're going to do, and then I was going to invite everyone to come out there at nighttime, from the mayor and the council, to come out and see it and see what you think about it. I was going to change the colors and things like that, and just give you an idea of what the entire downtown area looked like when we were finished. And then also Willows of Berlin, which is the big apartment complex being built on the end of Maple. We are actually going in there tomorrow to start the undergrounding of the electric system to feed all the apartment buildings. We got about 1,800 feet of underground primary wire to install, 6 transformers. That's going to take a while to get that done. And then also, we were notified today by AMP, we're probably going to be generating tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday, and possibly Friday. There's supposed to be a heat wave coming through, so I just want everybody to be prepared for that. That's my report.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for our electric utility director, Tim Lawrence?
No, I was just excited that you knew that in advance. That's what got me excited.
What's that?
The notification part.
He has to know. He's the man behind the switch.
But to know tonight that tomorrow I should already be prepared to start to change my thermostat.
Yeah, we're actually notified most of the time a day ahead of time, and they'll just tell us to be ready, and then as the morning approaches, we know more as time goes on, and then by noon, we really know, okay, we're going to start at this time. So, but it's pretty good the way it works. Thank you.
Thank you. David Gaskell, do you have anything?
No.
All right. Up next is our finance director, Natalie Sleck.
Good evening. I just want to give an update on Public Service Commission order number 53 funds, assistance to electric residential accounts, been fully distributed to the Berlin customers, residential customers, and the people who are qualified were all the people who have applied for SHRAP assistance in the past. 7 years have been approved. The letter's been mailed with the amount of the assistance or the credit posted to the electric residential customers. I also want to ask everybody to spread along the word to encourage people to apply for SHRAP. There are additional funds available out there. So if somebody have difficulties finding application, need help, the customer service, Michelle and Blakely and Melissa will be gladly to assist and help people to provide the directions or even help to fill out the applications. They have done it for several people and they have been awarded electric residential assistance from SHRAP. There is also assistance available through state for water bills. I would like everybody to be aware of that. And also there is rental assistance as well, but that's a separate obligation. For water assistance, if people just call, we will give a point of contact, a person who can help step by step for that. Also, online payments available. I know we would like to see everybody come into the town hall to pay their bills or even, question or drop something else. But with numbers for COVID rising, I would ask everybody if they can submit questions through the email or phone calls or do their payments online. We would appreciate that more. I have audits scheduled for the town of Berlin by PKS and Company, September the 13th. They will be present on site. We have started the work. We're uploading everything to the portal, sending the confirmations as of right now. And we are reviewing the report provided by Jean Holloway, her summary. Once that's completed, we will schedule a date for her to come to the mayor and council meeting and give a presentation. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions for our finance director, Natalie Sleck?
You got any idea of a projected date for Jean to come?
She is very busy because she's working on different sites. But at the same time, I'm going to wait for Jeff to return so we can kind of cooperate together and come up with a date. It's going to be soon, not.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right. Up next is our water resources director, Jamie Latchman.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
We're just, as Tim said, we had readings last week and we're working on some water services for new homes. I'm going to inform you that on 376, that the state highway has granted the contractor 2 more extra hours. They're telling me that Bay Street should be completely shut down by 8 p.m. every night till 6 a.m. By my understanding, if it's not open by 6 a.m., the state is fining them for not having the road open. So far, out of the last 2 weeks, they've had 3 days they've not made the 6 a.m. They have broke the main sewer main at one night. I was there all night long with them. I'm dreading it, but hopefully we'll get through it one of these days. So that's all I can say.
Thank you. I know it has been a lot of work for, well, the police department, Tim, Jamie, all the crews, so.
I've been trying to keep Fisher and or Lieutenant Fisher and the police department, the fire department up to date on their closures, but, you know, if they don't tell me, I can't tell nobody else, and the state's supposed to have a representative to keep everybody informed, but I don't know where he's at or what's happened, but I've been trying to do my best to keep everybody in the loop on it all.
Well, and I think that with some of the trouble that we've had, your skills have come into play multiple times, so thank you for that.
No problem, thank you.
Any questions for our Water Resources Director, Jamie Latcham? All right, up next is our Administrative Manager, Kelsey Jensen.
I'll just try to talk loudly. If you can't hear me, let me know. I'm working on the annual workers' comp audit right now. They still have not determined if they're going to come on site for that audit or if it's going to be online. So I'm gathering everything online and waiting to print until I know for sure what they are doing. So I'm working on that. And then I wanted to let everyone know we are going to be offering flu vaccines to employees and all employees. And then if you are an employee with a plan, your dependents or anybody in your family are welcome to come as well. That will be on September 29th. I'll send an email at the end of the month, just kind of trying to gauge how many people we may have, but they will be on site here offering flu vaccines, pneumonia, and I believe there's one other vaccine they're going to be offering. They should offer, shingles, I believe, yeah.
Is that 1 or 2 shots?
2. I think it's 2. They said they'd do the first one here and then they would give you a card so that your next one you can go on site to Rite Aid. So that's going to be happening Wednesday, September 29th, and I'll inform you guys as we get closer. And then the last thing I wanted to mention, we knew we were going to be getting a Care First credit, and we did calculate that in the budget when we gave the final numbers for Care First, but we did receive that credit this month. So it's a $40,000 credit, which again is not a surprise, but I'm just mentioning it that we did now receive that. So yeah, that's great.
Thank you. Any questions for our Administrative Manager, Kelsey Johnson? All right. What about his Deputy Town Administrator? Anything to report? All right. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Agenda item number 8 are comments from the council. We'll start with Vice President Burrell.
I don't have a thing, Mayor.
Okay. Councilwoman Nichols?
Just a few things. Great job, excuse me, to all the departments that have been working together with this Assateague Road. I don't even know what you call that number again, but whatever. There you go. Thank you all for working on that, because that has been something to look at, most definitely. And then that morning when that water main thing broke and the sewer was, kudos to you guys on that, because no one's house missed a beat. So those kinds of things are the things that the average citizen doesn't necessarily know. But to come out that morning, and I was like, it is well past 5 o'clock and these folks are still here. But to know that you guys were there with them, literally down in the trenches fixing that, and everybody's toilet's still flushed, everybody was still able to shower and get ready for work and summer school and whatever else. Lights are still working, traffic is working as far as the police go. Kudos to you guys. That is big stuff, to have to be working with someone else to maintain this entire town while they don't give you the actuals. So good job to you guys on that one. I'm back on my soapbox as far as committees go. Here's my 2 cents worth. Become active. The mayor's already stated that there are still some openings, availabilities. If you've got the time in your schedule or in your life to do so, become active in the town. Get out there, apply. We could use your input, the town could use. Don't talk about it, be about it. That's what I'm going to say on that regard. Happy early birthday to my cohort down there. Also a 13th baby, so August 13th, the council member Oris will be 40.
I called you the other day thinking it was your birthday. I wished you an early birthday.
Thank you.
Happy early birthday to that guy. And I will say this, it may not look like, and I'm completely off the cuff with this, it may not look like we work together coherently as a group, but we do. It may not look like we always agree, because we don't, but together we are a uniformed group, and when it's needed, when the mayor was down and out, when Mr. Burrell or Jack or myself or Jay, when we're Troy and, yeah, that guy who's on vacation, when it's needed, and even our department heads and the departments, we come together. You guys may not always see that. You may see things in the paper, you may hear things, you may discuss things behind closed doors, but let me tell you the facts. When we are needed, when we need to be together, we are together. We may not always smile at each other, because I frown at these guys quite a bit, but I have a great deal of respect and love for them and these guys and girls out here. There's more to this town than just what you see. There are lots of us who take a part in making this town function, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I feel like a group hug is coming up.
We'll have to do an air hug. But, okay, so Councilmember Nur, you get to follow that.
Yeah, I just want to follow up with a couple questions on the Memorial Garden and Judy Ashton, if I may.
Go ahead.
I don't know Judy personally, but I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, but she maintained the Memorial Garden for years now, several
I believe
years.
10 years.
Okay, and I guess the town paid her a fee, which then she provided the plants and the services to maintain it. Is that
Roughly, I think the budgeted amount for
$3,200?
services is roughly $3,200.
So I also understand that recently her services were terminated effective sometime in September. Is that
Well,
correct?
that's not fully correct, and I did summarize this in an email to the council. So the way that this took place is that during the budget process, we have meetings with each department head. We discuss the finances of how things are going to potentially roll out and be administered throughout the fiscal year. So during that planning process, we discussed handling the money that's associated for downtown gardens, which is $3,200, in possibly a slightly better way by leveraging that for some other grants, which Ivy has applied for, their Main Street Improvement Grants, to help provide, off the cuff, I think it's for some planters attached to the lampposts. I think it's
It was a
also,
variety, it was
Yeah.
including the Memorial
Yeah.
Garden and planters downtown, a garden at Henry Park, and some other areas that needed some help. So basically what we determined was that we needed more funding to be able to maintain some of those extra.
So we're hoping to be able to leverage about $13,000. So the way that this kind of came to a head now, as opposed to the budget planning process, is that a check was actually written to Ms. Ashton for $800 after we had talked about discontinuing those services early on at the beginning of this calendar year for FY23. So when that check was issued, the town administrator and I talked, and we said that we were going to honor the check that was sent out to Ms. Ashton, and that brought her services all the way through to September. So what we said, Jeff made contact over the phone, I've reached out over the phone to try and speak with Ms. Ashton. We appreciate her service. It has nothing to do with the level of service that she has provided, has nothing to do with the care that she provides to the memorial, the flowers there at the memorial. It's just that we have a finite amount of resources, and we want to try and take those as far as we possibly can. And that kind of piggybacks on an item that I'm going to bring up during the mayor's comments, which is possibly the creation of a Berlin Beautification Committee to help leverage the efforts that we're doing financially with some of the labor side of things. And also that positions us a little bit better when we start to explore some other grants and things for downtown landscaping and lighting and all those things. It positions us a lot better.
Sure, and I just want to say I'm for all those things. But the issue I have with this situation is, it's my understanding, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but when we started the new budget cycle, that Ms. Ashton was given a purchase order. And a purchase order is a legally binding contract.
No.
It's not?
No. If you look at this purchase order, it doesn't have a beginning date, an ending date, it's not signed. I mean,
But it has an amount.
it has an amount on it.
And that was the budgeted amount?
No, the budgeted amount said for downtown beautification. It didn't say Judy Ashton.
But the purchase order was for her services, correct?
Well, this was sent out by somebody in
I'm
the.
just trying to
No,
understand
this was sent out by someone in the finance department. I mean,
Okay.
they're not, no one in the finance department is authorized to enter into contracts on behalf of the town of Berlin.
But you're telling me when a purchase order is issued, that it is not a contract?
It can be.
Okay.
It certainly is if it has a definition to it about what it's for and for how long and
And that purchase order isn't specifically written to Judy Ashton?
it said issued, it says issued to.
Issued to her?
I don't think it's a binding contract.
Okay.
I don't.
And then
Now, there can be purchase orders that if there's more definition, they're supposed to be signed. This isn't signed.
And to
I
further,
don't think it's binding.
and to further clarify, part of the job and the duty of the mayor's office is to make sure that the money that's appropriated by the council is done so within the scope of that appropriation. So part of that is when we noticed that the check had been cut, we had an administrative discussion about that early on. So we honored the check that was sent out for the $800 for her services, but we also advised Ms. Ashton that those would be coming to an end after that money concluded, which is September.
Yeah, but that's unusual. Usually you contract her for, well, all right, you don't contract her, but you use her services for the next year.
And then just to further clarify, I don't ever recall there being a formal contract, even with my time on the council, with Ms. Ashton's services. I don't ever recall a contract being voted on for service from the mayor and council. So I hope that answers your question.
Sort of. I just want to clarify the situation. It just seemed a little odd to me. What was handled.
Okay.
Because the council was under the impression, when we set the budget, that that was for her services. And I understand you
I
want to do
can't
other
speak to what
things.
your assumptions were. I
I
can't do
understand you
that.
want to do other things, and that's all well and good, but if the intention was to use her services for a year, then we should have used those services.
But that was not the intention.
Would disagree.
Okay. Any further comment?
No.
Councilman? Go ahead.
But using her service and not using her service instituted a change. And you are absolutely within your scope as mayor. But sometimes things just sit a little better if you find her stuff in front and as it's being developed and as it's being planned instead of after the fact. And I would like to suggest going forward that this prior notice be considered.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit for me? Because when we look at this, right, so none of this is a fun part of the job, right? Like nobody gets happy, fuzzy feelings when they have to call somebody and say, hey, look, we're redirecting some of that money in a different way to help leverage a little bit of some of the gardens that we have downtown, for this example. So I'm trying to understand I'm trying to understand the question or the comment.
No, my comment is, the justification you gave considering how to use these funds, is I think, it's a good idea. It is a good idea, but I would have preferred not hearing about Ms. Ashton by some email. I would have preferred hearing about that change from my mayor.
But I respect that. However, what I would also say is that this whole thing was a budgeted line item, right? So for $3,200. And so there were opportunities to discuss that also during that time. What happened is that we noticed something that was outside of what was supposed to happen in FY22. And with that being said, we acted upon the fact that it was inaccurately issued a PO for somebody. It was inaccurately issued a payment to somebody for services outside of what we had discussed. So we honored those things, but we had also previously discussed those at a staff level within the budget process.
Zach, Zach, I have said what I have to say. And as far as I'm concerned, my comment is complete.
Okay.
Mayor,
Yes.
I'm sorry, but stating that inaccurately been mailed and inaccurately the purchase order was issued. During the budget process, we have discussed the line item for beautification of downtown. And it was stated that later in the time, we will set a committee or we'll have meetings to decide so. We have not received instructions nor specification to discontinue the services prior to the check being mailed and issued. So I'm sorry, but I don't agree with being inaccurately mailed. It's not a mistake. The service has been provided for so many years. We have received instructions to not continue paying Judy Ashton after the check was cut.
That is not accurate information. I think that if we go back and take a look at the budget meeting that we had, it specifically occurred when we were meeting with Economic and Community Development, and the statement that was made was that we would not be moving forward with Ms. Ashton's services in FY22. That was clearly stated in that meeting. So the fact that the check was issued was outside of
could,
that. Go ahead.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but I do remember this meeting specifically, and I remember that we were going to continue her services for a year while we investigated.
Exactly.
And that's why we wrote the grant, to see if we could get some extra money to be able to use that money to help with some other gardens. But I don't recall at all canceling Judy in the middle of the year.
We didn't cancel her in the middle of the year. We canceled her during that meeting. We discussed canceling her for FY22, which was a meeting that took place, I'd have to go back and look at my notes, but in, I believe, February, we had that meeting.
Mayor, we had a discussion to continue using the services while we're researching for potential grants and finding another options to perform the beautification of downtown. We were not instructed not to send her a quarterly payment and utilize her services. I totally agree with Ivy.
Okay, I remember that slightly different, but memories are fickle. So I understand that that is something that could have been inaccurate. But needless to say, we are not moving forward with Ms. Ashton's services at this time. It is not something that is in the budget as it typically has been for Ms. Ashton's services per se. So that was all clearly within that budget.
I just wish you had informed us early on of what was going on.
I think that sometimes, I mean, this is a new role for me, and it's a new role for many of us. I feel like sometimes the target's moving. I want to do a good job. I want to be transparent with everybody, but there are a lot of decisions that take place in my position on a daily basis that it would be like me sending you an email every day of the decisions that are made. Some of them impact something that's of substance.
No, Zach, we're not asking that.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's a moving target.
We're not asking that. We're not asking, and we're not trying to interfere with the day-to-day operations of this town, because you and Jeff and the staff need to have the authority to operate this town. But when there comes a change in the operation or the plan of this town, I think it's only considerate to share that with the council.
But in full transparency with that, I try to summarize things that I think are going to be on your radar and things that are sizable. Hold on, let me speak for a moment.
Go ahead.
So I try to summarize the things that I think are of value and of need to know, right? Sometimes I get that inaccurate. I'm going to say that. However, with that being said, it's not intentional either. So when the question was asked via email, I believe Councilwoman Nichols asked the question, I provided almost a page summary of where we were, where we went, and how we got there to the entire council. So it's not like it's an attempt to circumvent or hide information or any of those things. And that's not what I think you're implying.
No,
That was a
But-
week ago, Zach. That was a week ago.
No, I'm not.
But that, and all due respect, that was after we had all been, I know, well, I can't say, speak for all 5 of us, or all 6 of us, you included. That was after I had gotten phone calls, or I had gotten email messages saying, what is going on? What's happened with Judy? And I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on? So I understand where Mr. Burrell's coming from, and I hear you, Mayor. Your role is definitely, there's a lot that goes into that. And with that, and even incorporating life into your role, things happen and there are shifts. And none of us are perfect, not in the least bit. What I'd like to see is just a quick, even if it's a 2-line blurb, FYI, changes have been made, this is what's happening. If it was at the beginning of the budget season or at the beginning of the fiscal year, FYI, line item 8526 changed, no longer Ashton Gardens, now Beautification Committee, no longer utilizing the services thereof, blank. That way, and it's 5 lines, and I understand that that's a lot, but that way we're all on the same page. And it would have come up to us, and even in sending that out, that phone call could have been made to Ms. Ashton at the same time. We appreciate everything that you've done to date. Coming into this new year, we're no longer going to be utilizing your services in this capacity, but there's something else that we're looking at, and we may be reaching back out to you. Now, I mean, I'm not telling you that's how it should have been worded to her, but it could have been. And the issue that came to be because of this could have been, no, it didn't happen. You know what I'm saying?
But I also commend you on reaching out, because oftentimes these things will bubble, and there are things that end up on people's radars differently, right? So different things mean different things to different people, right?
For sure.
We can all agree on that. So when you have a question, it is important for you to reach out. And I commend you for doing what you did. You reached out, and I tried to summarize everything that I had to you and the entire council. So when those things come up, whether it's whatever time, call me, text me, email me, I will respond to you. And I try to make sure that that information is available.
It's just the timing, that's it. I mean, the timing and that, and I hear mistakes and things, or life happens, I'll put it like that. But the timing of it, had we known this 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, 2 months ago, at the beginning of FY '22, be it at the end of June, beginning of July, or whatever it was, then it would have been something that, not that we would have ever thrown any spin on it, but something that we would have been able to respond to rather than react to. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's, and I'm not speaking for these gentlemen, but for me, that's where the email came from. Wait a minute, what's going on? Why are we just hearing about this from other folks? What's happening? So.
In fact, I just want you to know that we as a council want you to be successful, because when you are successful, we are successful.
Absolutely.
And the town of Berlin is successful. What I have tried to do, I've tried to offer you some advice on how to keep us together and moving in the same direction.
Yeah.
So if you would share your ideas and share your aspirations and before you take action, especially when it impacts on the nature and operation and plans of the town. That my comment was intended in that light.
Thank you, and I do appreciate, I mean, like Councilwoman Nichols said a moment ago, we don't always see eye to eye. It's like a family in many respects.
Yeah.
But, and you and I, over the past, 5 and something years, have not always seen eye to eye on every issue.
No, we haven't.
But I respect but seriously, on a serious note, you've been around with this thing for a little while. You know how it works, and I appreciate your words and your guidance.
I believe,
things like that.
I believe that despite our differences of opinion, we all have the best interests of the town of Berlin kind of hard.
That's why we're here.
That.
It's not because we're getting rich and famous.
Absolutely.
All right, anything more, Councilmember?
No, thanks.
All right, Councilmember Orth?
Wow.
Happy
Well,
birthday.
yeah, I'm not the only birthday up here coming up. My colleague to my left here also has a birthday on Sunday, I believe, so happy early birthday.
34.
40th also?
Yeah.
It'd be 34.
And I just wanted to say, huge kudos and thanks to all the departments and the police as well for spearheading National Night Out. It appeared, to me anyway, to be a great event. And also thanks to all the town departments and staff that have helped advertise and coordinate with the Peach Day in Berlin. So that's all I have at the moment.
Thank you. All right, comments from the mayor. So to piggyback off of our discussion a moment ago, I would like to ask, and the document that I sent to the council, I would like to ask the council to approve something called a Berlin Beautification Committee. I hinted on it a moment ago. This committee could help with some of the work that needs to be done with our Parks Commission, some of the work with our A&E committee, some projects that are on the Public Works list of things that need to be done that sometimes citizens can chip in to help do. It takes, I foresee a formal structure to the committee, but also an ad hoc kind of capacity there as well. So if you have somebody that's in school looking to do service learning, it's a nice little way to help piggyback off of a project. If you have companies that want to help out and give back as far as like a give back day or something, we have some projects that they can work on. I would also like for them to focus on helping with the weeding, the planting, and other things associated with helping increase the beautification of our town in its entirety, but also the downtown specific district with some of this funding that we've discussed. It also helps position us a little bit more favorably for some grants. It's not a requirement, but it does look better on a grant application. So with that being said, if the council agrees to move forward with a committee like this, I would structure a formal goals and objectives. We can determine a term similar to what we've done with the community committee. So, thank you. It's been a long night already. Community Center Committee. So if that's something that the council could agree with moving forward with, then I would mock something like that up and have that for our determination.
Okay. Well, I just, after listening, I reached out to Jeff and you, Mr. Mayor, regarding Ms. Ashton and this, and from hearing everything here tonight, how it happened, clearly there was miscommunication somewhere, perhaps, and some people who thought something who didn't think it the correct way or whatnot. But I think that this committee, should it be approved, if she's willing, I really think we should reach back out to Ms. Ashton. I don't know her personally either, if she's even still willing, but I really think that she should be on this if this is what the council decides to do. And perhaps even maybe, I can't speak for everybody, but maybe even some sort of, if she's willing, maybe some sort of formal apology / please continue to help us out if you're willing, from the mayor and council.
And the other thing is that we have had people offer to want to fund certain gardens, different businesses. That is a program that exists currently. If anybody is interested that's watching at home, Ivy, I'm going to make your phone ring. Reach out to Ivy Wells Economic and Community Development Office. They have a formal program for that. So that's always an option as well. But I do think that we need a beautification committee.
I don't disagree. I do think that's a good idea. I just, I would hate for the expertise and the knowledge that Ms. Ashton provides and the talent to just go away in this manner.
So I would be looking for a formal motion to start a beautification committee and craft founding goals and vision, and then outline the structure of the committee as well.
Just for consideration, you talked about having these volunteers actually do work around town, weed in it, and whatever else. I think we need to keep in mind, as they volunteer, supervision and liability associated with somebody getting hit in the eye or something like that. Because those are real considerations, and we have a department, Public Works Department, how these individuals and these volunteers would fit with that department. So those are considerations going forward with this committee. And if we could, instead of taking a motion now, I would like to see, just like you presented the information on the community center committee, if you could come back with that detail, I think that would put us in a better position to approve or disapprove this recommendation.
Thank you. And I think that you bring up some great points about the Public Works Department. One, we've been trying to bring on some part-time help with that as well. The labor market's been a little difficult with some of that, so there are some areas where you can see that we are a little strapped labor force-wise. We've missed out on 2 consecutive years of the Berlin, Take Pride in Berlin week, so we are suffering a little bit from that as well. So we do have some precedent for this type of activity. This would not be employment by any means, but it would be ways for people to give back, ways for people to tackle some low-hanging fruit that's on the list. So I don't have a problem mocking that up also. The next thing that I had on my list, and I think that Jimmy Charles would have brought this up if he was here, we have a new street sweeper that you're probably going to see out and about. A shiny new piece of equipment that's doing very well. So keep an eye out for that. And then I also want to thank all of my colleagues for stepping up, you in particular, for running the meeting the other night. I'm a little out of practice, 2 weeks out of practice. But yes, it went very well. I also want to thank everybody that reached out via phone, Facebook, Instagram, and everybody that sent a card as well. So
We're glad you're feeling better.
I'm glad I'm feeling better too. All right, let's move on to agenda item number 10, which are comments from the public. Do we have any this evening? All right, what about comments from the press? All right,
Move to adjourn.
thank you. All in favor? I didn't even get a second, but I think he made the motion and seconded it. All right, thank you, everybody. Thank you.
You remember I said this?
Yeah, you just gotta keep in mind the basket, not the any lower.
Correct. Yeah.